Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Keep It Kula Podcast. My name is Jacqueline Kula, and I have a very special guest joining us today. This guy grew up in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. He was a Jays fan, but you could also see him rocking a Red Sox jersey, t-shirt here and there. Working at a bank for a bit, he realized that this was not for him and decided to pursue a career in sport media and decided to move to Toronto. Skipping ahead a little bit, this man is now the Toronto Blue Jays reporter for MLB.com and has been since 2017, and also a great author. As you can see with the book here, we are going to be talking about that very soon. Welcome to the show, Keegan Matheson.
Thank you so much for having me. I love the intro. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, so right away, as you see, I was holding that upside down, my bad. I got the book right here. First of all, how has press been? How has that been? Has this been a crazy week for you with the book just coming out a few days ago?
Yeah, there's been a lot of it. I have my voice now. I've lost my voice about 10 times. We'll see how I do, but it's been a lot. I was not ready for it, I don't think. And it's strange because it's stressful, but all for a very good reason. And my work every night is not supposed to be about me. Like when I read stories and a writer is saying, I thought, or I was here, I think, shut up, don't talk about yourself, right? Yeah. And now as part of this, I have to talk about myself a little bit. And it's strange. I am probably better at it than when I started, but I'm still not good at it yet. So it's been an interesting shift. It's the same topic, same idea as I do every day for work. It's still the Blue Jays, it's still baseball, but it's definitely a different part of your brain, and it's been interesting to go through this whole thing. It's been long. I started this probably a year and a half ago, so this has been a relief to get to this right now, because getting to talk about it and seeing you holding the book instead of just me holding this book is a lot cooler. It's a lot more fun than the writing process, and a lot less stressful probably. It's, even though there's some stress with this, it sure beats writing it, so it's been great.
Most definitely. And I also got to ask you, this cover, was this your choice? Was it the publisher? Because this is a beautiful cover.
It, right? I wanted it to be like simple and minimal. I had some rough ideas for it, but that's all them. I am, out of everyone who works in sports media in Toronto, nobody is worse at design and like video editing, photo design, Photoshop than me. So there are still stories told by our photography professor at my old sports journalism college about how poor I was at that. So thankfully we had some really good people to design that. And I love it. It's the view you get from the Blue Jays dugout looking up at that the tower. So it's I'm really happy with how that turned out.
I think it's beautiful, even for people who aren't the biggest readers. You got to still get it. You got to display it. If you're someone who loves Toronto, if you love the Blue Jays, if you just love a nice book cover, something I want to have in my house, definitely going to have it on display very, very soon. I got a shelf. It's kind of being covered over there, but I will definitely be having that very soon. You mentioned sports journalism, so you went to Centenial College. So I'm actually going there in the new year.
Awesome.
So I didn't even know this. When I booked you on the show, I was doing a little research and I was like, wait a minute, Centennial, no way. I'm going there in the new year. What advice do you have for someone like me? I studied film in university, but I love sport media. It's my number one passion in the world. So what's advice for this 1 year grueling program?
I'm excited for you. I had a degree in English and creative writing, a double major I did at Dalhousie University in Halifax, Nova Scotia. An extremely hireable degree, and sports journalism was always what I was passionate about, but living on the East Coast, it didn't seem very real because there wasn't any of that around. It was something that existed on the television very far away in the big city, and I was someone who wanted nothing to do with the big city back then, but that program was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Even at the book launch we held last night on Thursday in Toronto, there were 3, 4, 5 of the people who were in my class, my year, who were there. And that meant so much to me, who were working in the industry with me. And it was such a cool opportunity to be just like stuck in one place with the same people for a year. And it's a small group, usually 20, 25 students in that class. And I'm still very close friends with like most of them. And you lose touch with some people. The others aren't my enemies, I promise. But those who have stayed like close to the industry or around it, we're still really close. And my year was 2016. Like, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
That program set me up with a internship at sportsnet.ca. And a few days into that internship, I got the MLB.com job for the next year. So was I the best intern Sportsnet's ever had?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But still, an incredible program to be part of. And the people who teach in that are fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
I tell Shai Davidi all the time, he should have, like, turned me away. And he could have made his life a lot simpler. Now he's stuck in all these random American cities with me next to him complaining. But being able to work with him, to work with the people who help with video and TV stuff. Like, when I started that program, I was like, I'm a writer. I want to write. I don't want anything to do with anything else. And thank God they helped me with that, because so much of my job now is radio, television, shooting video. And the structure of it's great too, because like yourself, like me, like pretty much everyone going into the program, you've been to enough school. You don't want to go back for 3-4 more years.
Yeah.
But the intense 1-year structure of it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yes.
And so I'm excited for you.
Thank you. I know I'll have to reach out again when I'm struggling with something, maybe.
Absolutely. I'll know all the tricks for you, I hope.
Thank you. Yeah, no, like I thought I was done with school. You know, I finished that. I went to Laurier for 4 years. Absolutely loved every second of it. Started a podcast there with Radio Laurier. That's how I started off the sports podcasting. And then once I graduated, I said, I'm done with school. I have friends who are in medical school, nursing college, teachers college. And I said, I'm done with school. This is my career. And I was working for a football fan page for a little while, and was also thinking about doing film full time. So I was in the past, like since so I graduated in 2023. So I kind of felt like I don't know where I'm at, if I want to fully do more media or film. And then I decided this new year that this is my calling. This is what I want to do. No matter what, this is my passion. And I said, all right, you know, I think it's time to go to school. I think it's time to go back to school and say, and trust me, if you ask any of my friends, they'll say Jacqueline was done. She was done. But I'm so eager to learn more. And I think it's such a privilege to be able to do something like that, and to be able to go and learn from the best in the city that I live in. And so I'm so excited, so excited. Just knowing that you went there just gives me that other boost, being like, you're someone who was successful in the industry, who has made it, who went to this program and clearly learned a ton while there for the year.
Yeah, it's a great program. And it's like, and it's full of people who have like made up their mind on it too. You know, it drives me nuts. And like, I'm sure you've heard this, you'll hear more of it when like someone will come in or talk to the class, be like, the media's failing, run away. Like,
Yeah.
Cool, great advice. Yeah. Like when you get to that program, like I've always viewed it, and we had people come in and say the same thing to us. You know, the floodwaters are rising. Get out of the industry. And more often than not, I'd look up and I'd think, okay, you're a bitter old man who is not happy with your place in the industry. There's always opportunities, and I look at it now as like, yeah, like. If I went back and tried to be a doctor or an architect, would that be smarter? Hey, you know what? Maybe. But I had this thing in my brain where I like doing this way too much. And by the time that everyone is in that room together, like everyone's committed to trying it.
Yes.
And that's the cool part, is that it's kind of like a collective leap of faith of, you know, is it the safest thing in the world? I don't know, but not a lot of fun things are.
Yeah.
And it's been so cool to see the connections from that program like still have value. Yes. And I'm a huge believer in like at a certain point everyone's talented enough, but that program, it helped me learn like people who are important to me and who are close to me. You know, it's yesterday I did radio with Shoaib Ali on Sportsnet Fan 590, and he's from my class. At my book launch yesterday was Kyle Morrison from TSN from my class. Tomorrow when the Toronto Star, an excerpt of my book is running, and the person who helped organize that is Braden Holmyard from my class, like in my year. Wow. And it's so exciting to like see my people around, you know, and it also teaches me just like the value of, it taught me the value of just being decent to each other. I mean, it's, so what I mean to say is like at a certain point, everyone can cut a video, everyone can write a news story just fine. But once you get into the industry, and like the class taught me this, there's a lot of value in just like being cool to be around and being like a team player and being nice to each other. It's, if you're going to be a bit of an idiot, like some people in the industry It's like, well, you better be the best in the world at what you do,
Yeah.
right? Because so much of our job is just time around each other.
Yeah. You
Like,
gotta be the Michael Jordan of sport
you
media.
gotta be.
Yeah.
So nowadays, me, Shy, Ben Nicholson-Smith, Robbie Longley, Gregor Chisholm, all the other baseball writers, we spend more time with each other all season than like probably our own families. It's 10 hours a day. It's 162 games. It's constant, right? So there's so much value in just being able to get along with each other. And I feel like that program really helped me with that because it just kind of sticks you in a room together.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, 1 year, you're going to get sick of each other, but in a loving way, I hope. And it's a perfect incubator for that. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that. Yeah, listen, I loved sport media my whole life since I was like, when I realized that I wasn't going to go to the WNBA or play for Team Canada at the Olympics, I really realized that I just, also my generation, I'm born into 2001. My generation's very much about media, and we kind of had those. So I would be making like these, since I was 10 years old, making sports edits and all that. So just kind of building it up, and this is my next stage. So just, thank those words that you said, like, really makes me so excited. Like January cannot come soon enough, and the summer hasn't even started. The summer hasn't even started yet.
You'll be saying that halfway through it again. Oh my God, next January can't come soon enough.
I know, it's very true. Okay, so talking about this book, how did the players around you or just other people in the industry react to you starting this in a very in-depth and personal kind of story here?
It's interesting when I tell a player or a coach or an executive or a PR person or anybody, like, hey, I'm working on a book, and they go, oh no. Because when you hear book, it sounds big and serious and scary. And I'd have to tell people over and over, I kind of joke my way, like, listen, this is not your scandal. Like, I'm not trying to bring you down or anything. It's a book really about why people give a damn about this team, why people care about this team. And I wanted to explore that. And I found that coaches and alumni and players were like so generous with this, and it's a little less scary once they take a breath and settle down when they realize it's for something coming out in a year and not tomorrow. And there's a lot of anxiety about talking to media, talking to reporters, and with a lot of current Blue Jays, like if I'm talking to Vladdy or George Springer or Dalton Varsho, they at least know I'm around and hopefully know that I'm not going to disrespect them or use anything that I shouldn't be using, and I'll respect their time. But a lot of alumni, they don't know who I am. I was barely alive when they had their big moment in the 80s or 90s or whatever it was.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I know you mentioned Scherzer is a little bit tough to talk to sometimes, right? Like
he's an interesting case too, and he's knows more about baseball than I could ever imagine. Right. So every guy's a little different. But with It was a case of being extremely direct with everyone about what I was talking about, what I was writing about, and making sure they knew they weren't going to be surprised by anything. And that's kind of my goal. I don't want anyone to be surprised. And that goes for my daily job. If George Springer is having a cold streak or Anthony Santander is, I have no problem walking up and saying, listen, like, you're hitting 100 the last month. It's not good. I'd rather ask you about it than make up some stuff myself. And they tend to deal with that okay. They at least, I hope, respect it. And getting people to talk for the book was sometimes very hard, sometimes easy, depending on the person or what we were asking about. But it took a long time. I started this in very start of last year. It's been about a year and a half process. Wrote it through last season and would have filed the first manuscript last August going into the year. So a lot of nervous time spent, are they going to, what if they trade Vladdy? What if they screw up my book? I keep thinking of Tim McMahon, the ESPN reporter who wrote the Luka Doncic book, and then Luka got traded after he'd written the book. And that probably ended up working well for him, I hope, because I like him. But you're always a little scared that something's going to screw it up, or some info, for example, like the Ohtani chapters, the COVID chapters. There were some things that I had saved for this book, and I had not reported. And now the book's in, and it's not going to come out for 8 more months. And I've got to hope that nobody writes those stories for the next 8 months. So a little nerve-wracking, stressful, but thank God we made it. Most of it was safe so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, I want to go into the Shohei Ohtani chapter. Reading this chapter, it feels like I'm reading a thriller. It really, really does. this chapter, I'm like, my hands are shaking, even though I know what happens, obviously. But, I don't want to give things away for people who didn't, who weren't following the Jays then. But what was it like writing this chapter? And also, what was your own experience going through this? Because you show how you had your own, article ready to go, which you put for the first time in this book of if Ohtani was coming to the Jays or not. So what was your own reaction during this craziness as someone in the media who was very close to the team?
It was the strangest thing I'll ever cover, I hope.
Oh, please.
And that's why I decided to put it in. Part of me thought, come on, it's already happened, give it up, it doesn't matter anymore. But I thought it was so unique and so strange that I had to. And I signed the deal for this book at those winter meetings. Anyway, so it was there was a lot on my mind that week. It was a little messy that week going through. But the secrecy around it made it so interesting. When people don't want to talk about something, that's the most interesting thing in the world. Why don't you? Why don't you want me to ask? And I still remember sitting on that Zoom call in a hotel room asking Ross Atkins where he was, and he wouldn't tell us. And the words he came up with were very strange, as they sometimes are. But it was fascinating at the time, and once I got to revisit it, people were a little more open to discussing it down the road after it's over. But you were able to start putting some of the pieces together. And I'm typically really hesitant to insert anything of myself in a story. I think in this one it kind of helped, because I was there for some things that people wouldn't know along the way. And the process of writing it, like you mentioned, I had a story that I included in the book. I remember before I deleted that story, I emailed it to myself just in case.
Smart,
and
very smart.
Figured it would come in handy. But all that was open were just a couple of blanks for the money and the years. The Blue Jays had signed Ohtani to blank years, blank money, and it was ready to go. And a lot of this chapter was actual reporting. Most chapters in this book are writing. This one had some reporting, like a long story. Some of that was about what actually happened when Ohtani visited the Blue Jays, his tour around the complex, who was with him, what they had set up for him. But then some more details about the negotiations after that as well. And honestly, it left me appreciating what the Blue Jays tried. And that's not something I would have said after it actually happened. And I'm still a big believer, you either sign a guy or you don't. There's no second place. But I at least believe now that nobody was being used. Like, the Jays were close. They almost got the guy. And they did a really good job.
We all thought that they did.
Everyone did. Because that was not a good day for journalism.
Oh, no, it was not.
They were right there. They almost got the guy. And I think they did a really impressive job of almost getting the guy. Sometimes you're just not going to. And you cannot put Toronto in California. It's tough to do that. So,
because it's already there. Yeah, it's true.
So it's real tough. But that one was really fun to write and report.
It was fun to read. It was. I was like, I kind of hated reading it and loved it at the same time.
That's what I was hoping the reaction would be from people. Yeah, a little hate-love read, but
it really is. And like, I would honestly tell, even if someone doesn't watch baseball whatsoever, this chapter has that feel of reading a thriller, because it's like.
Glad.
It's just, I really can't put into words. It's just, it has that feel where it's so close and it's so real, and then it's stripped away from you so quickly. And it's just, it's quite the chapter.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. Was there like a different vibe with the Jays? Was there a sadness with the team, or were some guys kind of like, oh, now I got to keep my job?
Yeah, they have to care a little bit, and it's as much as they're going to say, hey, it's all right, we're here to compete, blah, blah, blah. No, they were paying attention. And that's what amazed me, even talking to John Schneider, talking to some of the players. Like, they're getting the same texts too, right? And while they know a bit more than the average public person, Ross Atkins also isn't sending around a group text like, hey guys, here's the latest. Because that's how stuff gets out. The Blue Jays do a legitimately very good job of keeping things tight to the chest. Like, they don't leak to anybody. And if stuff is leaking, I normally assume it's from an agent or another team.
Yeah, because there was the players didn't even tell their agent about the Ohtani.
Yeah, like this was kept very secret. Wow. And a lot of players, a lot of coaches involved, like they were getting texts from guys around the league, old teammates, college buddies, like, hey, you guys got Ohtani. And everyone's kind of left in this limbo of like, I think so, maybe. Just that those couple of hours, brutal. It's a movie of its own one of these days, but I doubt I'll ever cover anything like it, honestly, because you normally don't get things kept secret in pro sports anymore.
No.
There's normally either, in baseball, a lot of stuff gets reported as it happens. You see, especially in a lot of national and NBA and NFL reporting, just an agent moving the mouth of a reporter with their oddly worded tweets, but
definitely,
yeah, it's disgusting to me. It's not reporting anymore; it's PR.
Yeah.
Just take the check from the agency, man. But baseball stuff like that normally doesn't stay that secret, that mysterious. It felt like a throwback to like pre-Twitter, pre-internet, when it took a little longer for stuff. And what a story!
What a story. And I truly think that this become a movie, just the Ohtani decision. It's
There
like
we go. I hope I kept the movie rights. I don't know if I did. Got to check my
please,
contract.
who are you gonna cast? Who like, you gotta think about these things already, because like, as someone who loves movies, as I said, I studied film. Reading this, I'm picturing it as a thriller film, as an Oscar-winning thriller about baseball. So it was just, it was fantastic. So, you said how Ohtani was, viewed as the president, as players said when he was there. Is this actually just how he's viewed in the MLB? Is this the greatest in the world? And well, he is the greatest in the world, as we know. But is there this presidency feel around him with every single organization, whether there's the Dodgers or the Angels or it was here?
Yeah, he's not viewed as a human being. It's this godlike figure because he represents all of Japan. And even when the Blue Jays had Yusei Kikuchi, a Japanese pitcher, there were 3, 4, 5 reporters just for Yusei at every game. And when they had Hyunjin Ryu, the Korean left-hander, that first spring training, there were 20 Korean reporters at every spring training morning. So it would be me, 1 or 2 Canadian reporters, and 15 or 20 Korean reporters. And if Danny Jansen caught his bullpen, Danny Jansen was on every channel in Korea the next day.
Wow.
And so the Korean and Japanese baseball cultures do such a good job of like really holding up their stars and respecting them in a way that is beyond what I think we do in North America. And it's really cool. And Shohei Ohtani is something different completely. He's got 30, 40, 50 at every game. It changes an entire media landscape in a city for good. And teams recognize that. That's why the Blue Jays were willing to spend so much money, because he represented owning a piece of the Japanese baseball market, which is hard to put a dollar value on, but it's worth at least more than $700 million, I guess.
No kidding. And if he was here, do you think your job could have become a little bit more difficult, considering of how claustrophobic it could have been in those in the press rooms or game days and all that?
Absolutely. It's it would have been a hard 10 years for our PR people.
No kidding.
But it would have completely changed everything. There's lots of days where, unfortunately, I look up and down the press box. There's only a few of us. It's pretty relaxed, pretty quiet. We go down for post game. It's me and a few others. It's calm. But at the same time, when Yusei was here in Toronto, I did a lot of Japanese television appearances too. Yeah. And that paid for the odd dinner. So you never know.
Yeah.
They might have convinced me to be more open to it. We'll see. But it changes everything about your life, because instead of being one of 5 reporters, you're one of 60 at a game, and it's nuts.
That is crazy. So, people really don't think about what it goes. Obviously, the fans wanted him here, but, you don't know how players feel, reporters feel, and the media, and how Toronto would be different. Downtown Toronto would have a different vibe currently. And so it's, for better, for worse. That's what happened. And anyways, I want to go back a little bit. So you becoming a reporter, right? You have to decide that one day. You were working at a bank. After getting your degree, you're working at a bank, and you're like, this is not for me. How do you actually make that decision to let go of this life that you have and move to Toronto, one of the craziest cities and well, definitely one of the most crazy cities of Canada, but in the world even?
Yeah, it wasn't easy, and I was hesitant because I hated Toronto then, and I hated it for a long time after I moved here because I was overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
Most days, I mean, I attempted to operate a vehicle in this city today. Again, I hated it for a good hour, but
Yep. Yep.
it's growing on me. I've come around on it. I'm a converted hater, but it really took being honest with myself, and that was not easy. And recognizing, sure, my strengths, but also stuff I was bad at. And I learned that I was not good at adapting to things that weren't comfortable for me. And that's probably a weakness, but I had to at least neutralize that. And I could have stayed in that job and been pretty happy and had a plan and everything, but been still doing it right now, happily and well. I think I was good at it when I did it, but I was so miserable. And I hated going to work every day. And it gave me so much anxiety and so much stress. So I finally had to recognize, like, I'm just not good at faking it. And I'm not good at adapting to stuff that's not what I want to be doing. If I was better at that, sure, I would have been a happy life probably. But I finally, one day, I remember I think I picked up a phone call and I just hung it up and walked my desk over and dumped it. And I said, I can't. Like, I can't. I've never quit anything in my life. But it kind of got me to a breaking point of where I just wasn't happy with what I was doing. And I've said those same words 100 times over the last 8-9 years here working too, but it's at least more connected to it and connected to what I care about, what I'm passionate about. It was always writing for me growing up. And baseball was always my jam. I'm a bad Canadian. I'm not a big hockey guy.
You're not a hockey guy at all.
Doesn't do it too
Raptors? How about Raptors, though?
Raptors, I'm a big hoops guy,
Yeah.
big WNBA guy.
Yeah,
but
WNBA coming here soon, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm fired up.
I'm so excited.
I'm willing to make the Tempo my favorite team. I've been a Liberty guy for a long time because Jonquel Jones is my favorite player.
Yes.
But I'm a big Jonquel Jones guy. But I wanted to be involved in baseball. Yeah. And I didn't really know what the path looked like at that point, but I Googled it. I found Centennial College. I said, oh, Shai Davidi teaches there. They cover spring training. This could be a thing. So it was a bit of a crazy leap. In hindsight, I'm like, oh my God, dude, like that was really unhinged of you. But thankfully, it's some lucky bounces. It's worked out so far. But it was a big jump, and leaving the East Coast to come to Toronto was a lot. Like I've only recently kind of come around on having my head wrapped around the city. I can't pretend I always like it, but it's a lot different from home.
It definitely is. Yeah, I'm in the suburbs of Toronto, I guess, the GTA. So, but I go downtown frequently, and you never get used to it. You just
That time, there's nothing good about
driving downtown is pretty impossible, I must say. But I love the city. I love the sports that we have. I love the media that we have. It truly is the greatest place. I want to talk a little bit about Jays quickly here. So I've loved the Jays my entire life. I grew up on like the first players I remember are more of like Jose Reyes and Brett Laurie of this team, like very random guys. Then Batista and Edwin and Encarnacion as well. But obviously everyone's favorite era was the Pilar, Donaldson, Tulowitzki, 2015, 16, 17 era. And following that era, I had a hard time loving the Jays. I don't know what it was. I think I didn't like change. Even though we were really good a couple of years ago, I didn't like change. It kind of felt like, starting high school where it's like you're leaving all your old friends behind and it's this new change and you don't really know anyone well. But this year, for the first time in so long, I love this team again. I'm not just a fan of the Jays. I love this team. And are you able to figure out why it is about this team? Because this team isn't perfect, nowhere near perfect. But I love these guys. These guys are my favorite players, and I love this team.
Yeah, teams need to have personality. The 15 and 16 teams, they didn't win anything. They went to the ALCS. It's good. It's very good. But you're making it to the semifinals twice. Cool. Yeah. People love them because they could probably kick any team's ass in baseball. Like they were renegades is the old John Gibbons term, like a bunch of renegades. Like they had, I could name 10 or 11 players on that team who would be like the biggest personality in almost every other MLB clubhouse. It was crazy.
Yes.
And how John Gibbons kept that all together amazes me. I still don't know how he did it. It's incredible. But I feel like this team is starting to have a bit more personality because Vladdy, like he's a man now. He's established. And he knows who he is, and this team has a face. A year ago, I would have said, well, I don't know, maybe Vladdy leaves. If he leaves, Bo leaves. Then maybe they can strip this whole thing down. You didn't know what the future would look like. And now you do, at least a little bit. You know they're going to keep spending. And I like, this team feels a lot better than last year.
Yeah. But what about their great playoff team when they were over 90 wins that year? Do you see a big difference between that team and this team as well?
I think this team, it's so much more built around defense now, but I think they're finally getting back to like attempting to score some runs, which is a really exciting idea.
Yesterday, 9 runs, yeah.
It's so much better. People want to see offense. As much as you want to, does defense win championships? Maybe. The team that scores the most points wins. Now you can prevent points, sure, but whoever scores the most wins. And this whole defense wins championships thing seems very rooted in like football or something. Like I don't know why we're bringing that to baseball so aggressively. And having an elite defense is great, but you need to be able to hit. So Dalton Varsho, hitting for power, that's a complete baseball player. Ernie Clement, elite defender, but he crushes lefties. Okay, that's a step in the right direction. So you're seeing some of these personalities. I think a lot of these players are very lovable personalities, likable guys. George Springer has the energy. Dalton Varsho is like the bashful little brother. Bowden Francis is, I don't know how to describe Bowden Francis.
Or Kirk. I think, Kirk is one of the most entertaining guys.
Then you've got Kevin Gausman is such a different personality from Jose Barrios, from Chris Bassett, who's just cranky but somehow incredible to watch on the mound, rolling his eyes and shrugging his shoulders, but still striking everyone out. There's some character to the team that we had not seen in recent years, and there's some continuity to it that's important. I think everyone that's on this roster right now feels like they can be part of it next year or the year after, instead of just guys plugging holes. They don't have the Brandon Belt, Justin Turner, Daniel Vogelbach, like, hey, come here for a few months and try to help out. It feels a little more now like they're kind of building something. Addison Barger's another example of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, with Barger, is he the biggest surprise of this season?
By far, yeah. I was slow on him. I didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
I didn't. And because I've seen so many guys with big tools who don't put it together. And Brett Laurie, who you mentioned, is kind of an example of that.
Yeah.
And also, Addison Barger, like, when you look at him right now, is Barger 25? Let me look this up. He's 25.
Yeah, young guy.
So for a guy to have all of those skills, I start to wonder, like, well, guys are breaking through at 21, 22. Why didn't you? If you can throw that hard, hit that hard, do everything that incredibly. Why is it taking you this long? But it does take guys a little longer to put it together mentally. And for him, it was just calming down. Like, I think anyone looking at him, he's just vibrating with like this chaotic, frantic energy. He had to calm down a bit, and I think he has. So we'll see how it works.
Yeah.
David Schneider's always the example of the adjustments game and all that stuff, but
definitely.
For now, it's pretty fun.
It's a pretty fun team. There's something about the energy here. I'm trying to get my friends to go to games now who aren't even into baseball. It's like, listen, Rogers Center, we all love it. Yeah. Obviously, it's a great place to be. It's a great place to go on a weekend. There's no complaints there. But there's something different about this team. As I said, something different even when they were the best that they've ever been a few years ago. There's just, I think they have an identity, and I think there's just, these guys are very likable, and I have new favorite players again because, when Pilar left, I was heartbroken when the era ended because, like many others, Pilar was my favorite. Yeah. But I love these guys. I really do. So before we end it off, talk a little bit about rumors, what you can say about this stuff. So, there's some rumors about Bo Bichette, if whether they're going to trade him, he's going to leave, or if the Jays are going to extend him. What can you say to those?
I think Bo hits free agency and then maybe he can come back. I don't think that, excuse me, it would make any sense to deal him right now. And unless they completely free fall out of this, I don't think that happens. Yeah. Now, I also think that 10 different teams could value Bo 10 very different ways. Some teams will look and say, is he a shortstop? Maybe we're just going to give him a few-year contract. Whereas if you think he's a shortstop who hits for power, suddenly that becomes an 8, 9, 10-year deal. So the Blue Jays, all they can do for now is kind of try to win the tiebreaker. And winning helps that. Playing with Vladdy helps that. And people really try to psychoanalyze Bo and read his body language.
Yeah, all the time.
Everyone's always telling me what he's thinking. I'm like, dude, I cover Bo. I've covered his whole career. Every single day I'm around him. I don't know what he's thinking.
Wow.
He's reserved. That's who he is, and that's all right. It's not everyone's job to give me good quotes. Whatever, that's fine. But when Bo does speak, he is intentional, and it matters what he says. He's thought about it. And I promise that Bo does not say stuff just to get more attention. He doesn't want me at his locker more than I already am.
Yeah.
So when he says he wants to keep playing with Vladdy, he means it. It's coming from somewhere real. And as long as the Jays can keep that kind of tiebreaker, money's always going to win, but it's good to have the tiebreaker. And I think he hits free agency, and the Jays are kind of involved in it at the right number. And it would be great to see him stay alongside Vladdy, though. We're finally seeing Bo hit for some power again, which is what he desperately needs to do.
Most definitely, yeah. I've been being on Twitter as a Jays fan. Sometimes it's very difficult because people love to do 180s all the time.
Yeah.
They like to switch it up. So for so long, everyone's saying get rid of Bo, get rid of Bo. Now this past week, it's we love Bo, keep Bo,
Exactly.
keep him. It's like guys, come on, you got to stick with your guy. But Bo is Bo is a fan favorite. I think. I think we would, Toronto would love to have him here. And another little not rumor, but Mad Max. Are we going to see him play?
Sunday.
What is going on?
Yeah, I think it's Sunday he's supposed to throw in Florida, and if that goes well, a rehab. 1, 2, maybe 3 rehab outings. Yeah. We're still talking about like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
But we don't know until he goes over 40 or 50 pitches, which he hasn't done yet. Maybe 50 or 60. Because he keeps saying he doesn't know how his thumb's going to react until he really pushes it. So all of this is just a build-up to maybe knowing. I'm kind of at the point now if he'll be back when he's back. I don't know, because I've written the story too many times already. Of it's getting closer, and it's June 6th, right? So we'll see. I really hope so, because he's Max freaking Scherzer. I would love to see him pitch for this team. It's just a cool thing as a baseball fan.
Just the legend.
Gosh, I hope so. They got to get more than 3 innings out of the guy, and I think they will. It's just a matter of, is he going to be a 7-inning guy or kind of shorter bursts, which would be awkward, but hopefully that thumb holds up, though, because if he's healthy, he's a really good pitcher. Like, I still think he has it. It's just this thumb thing.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see him as well. And also, are we going to see him on the team next year? Is that...
Good question. I don't know if he has another one in him after this year.
Yeah.
He's made a couple dollars, so he doesn't need to do it for free, but we'll see. And if he doesn't have the end of this year he wants, he'd be the guy that would come back. I think he's too competitive. He wants to end on a good note.
Yeah, kind of like an Aaron Rodgers football kind of thing, didn't have a good season. He's going to Pittsburgh now, or even like Brady, and so I bring it back to football. All right.
I'm a Packers fan, so I hope that Aaron Rodgers throws a million interceptions this year.
You're a Packers fan, oh boy.
Jordan Love will break my heart in another 10 years. It's a Packers QB tradition.
Yeah,
hopefully he doesn't keep one-upping these guys. I don't know. But
do you guys even have a wide receiver on that team anymore? I'm a Giants fan, so I don't know what to say.
14 number 3 receivers, and none of them can catch, but it's all right.
Listen, I'm a Giants fan, so there's good moments and bad moments with our team, but you know what? That is gonna do it. Once again, everyone get this book. Everyone follows me. If I have a lot of friends who don't like sports. I don't care. Get this book. You are going to enjoy it. Once again, The Franchise, Toronto Blue Jays, A Curated History of the Jays. Great book. Beautiful to look at. Beautiful CN Tower, blue sky. Great read. So, listen, thank you so much for coming on, man, and chatting up baseball and sport media and a little bit of football and all that.
Absolutely. This has been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody. That is going to do it on today's episode of the Keep It Kula podcast. Do not forget to get this book. You can get it at Indigo, on Amazon, so many places you can get it. So make sure to get it right now. All right. Thank you once again. Bye-bye.